Heaven Official's Blessing. Chapter 192. Audio source: WuXiaWorldAudiobook.com. White-clothed demon appoints Black Warrior as general. He was determined to be a youth based on his voice and physique. He was donned in neat and orderly warrior attire, his physique tall and slender, but like fresh new bamboo, he emitted the aura of the innocence of youth. Black robes like ink, black hair like ink, tied high. Around his waist hung a saber, long and slim. He lifted his head slowly, and upon his face was also a snow-white mask, and on the mask was a crescent smile. Balls after balls of black mist took shape amidst hissing and wailing. All sucked cleanly into the array within that white-clothed man's sleeve, like he was taking in an entire river into a small jaded case. As for that young man, he remained steady and still within that chaotic black whirlwind. The white-clothed man asked, "Who are you calling?" That black-clad youth was still down on one knee, submissive like a servant, but also like he was swearing an oath, and he answered, "I was calling you, Your Royal Highness." That white-clothed man said coldly, "I'm not the Royal Highness." However, that black-clad youth replied, "You are. I will never forget your voice and your form." The voice of that white-clothed man was now laced with traces of anger. "I told you, I'm not him." This white-clothed man was naturally Xie Lian, who had donned the funeral garb and put on the Cry Smile mask. With his face hidden behind the mask, no one could recognize who he was, and he didn't want to be recognized either. Yet, on this battlefield, a drifting black warrior still called him by his identity straight out. Suddenly, that white silk band wrapped on Xie Lian's expansive sleeves suddenly lunged out like a viper, charging towards that black-clad youth. Although from the looks of it, it was a soft and limp white cloth, but when it attacked it was savage, its aura of evil blasting. It seemed the black-clad youth was about to be bound, but he suddenly reached out and firmly grabbed hold of that white silk band. One end of that white silk band was wrapped around Xie Lian's wrist, the other wrapped on that black-clad youth's wrist, and the silk band itself was pulling taut gradually. It wasn't that it didn't want to break away, but that black-clad youth had kept a tight hold on it, like it was squeezing a venomous snake at its fatal point, and from his hand emitted endless chilling air. There was no doubt that this was a soul of the dead. And it was an extremely powerful dead soul. After noticing that a power not to be underestimated was passed over through the white silk band, Xie Lian demanded, "What is your name?" After being silent for a moment, the black-clad youth replied, "I don't have a name." Xie Lian didn't push for more either, and said, "Without a name makes one Wu Ming. You may call me whatever you desire," the black-clad youth said. Xie Lian continued, "Are you a soul of a dead soldier from this battlefield?" "I am," Wu Ming said. Only then did Xie Lian let go, and that white silk band instantly leapt back to his person, swaying about to show off its might from afar towards that black-clad youth, like it was hissing its venomous tongue. Since this was a soul of the dead who died in battle, no wonder he heeded his call. This black-clad warrior must be filled with resentment towards the people of Yang'an too. In other words, he could be used because their objective was the same. Thus, Xie Lian said, "Then, follow me." He extended a hand to that black-clad warrior. "I will give you what you want." That black-clad youth's face was also hidden behind a mask, so his expression couldn't be told. Both were the same. After a moment of silence, he still unhesitatingly clutched Xie Lian's extended hand, bowed his head deeply, and pressed his cold forehead against the back of Xie Lian's hand. A moment later, he said profoundly, "I swear to die following your highness." Xie Lian, however, pulled back his hand, tucking his arms into his sleeves. He turned around and said coolly, "You're already dead. Come." That black-clad warrior rose to his feet, and when Xie Lian looked back, he discovered that this young man was actually much bigger than he had expected. Probably around 16 or 17 in age, but already enormous in size at this age, and even taller than him by a bit. However, this didn't matter, and he only took a glance before turning back around and continued forward. Xie Lian took the lead, and that nameless black-clad warrior followed right behind as expected. "Your Highness, where do you want to go?" Xie Lian's gaze fell into the distance. Yang'an Palace. Yang'an Palace sat in another large city in the west. This city-fortress used to be a glamorous city as well, but had been kept oppressed by the imperial city of Xianle in the east. Now that the imperial city of Xianle had fallen, the new king moved the new capital to here, and it wouldn't take long before it would overtake the old imperial city, basking in its glory. Xie Lian arrived deep in the night. Beneath the moonlight, he was like a white cat soundlessly flying through the dense and tightly packed spines of roofs of the new imperial city. And that black-clad warrior was like a black spirit fox, following closely behind. Soon, the two shadows landed before a large gate. Xie Lian sensed something amiss. Upon this gate was a faint ominous air, and he paused in his step. He was about to reach out to check it when that black-clad warrior stepped up and blocked before him, extending an open palm and said quietly, "Break." From the crack of that door leaped a line of firelight, as if something was burned away. Only after did that black-clad warrior reached out to push over the gate. "Your Highness." Xie Lian crossed through the door and looked down on the ground. Just as he expected, scattered on the ground were some burnt shreds. Xie Lian picked a bit up and smelled herbs and talisman paper, and stole a glimpse at that black-clad warrior. This demon was indeed powerful. These remaining traces of burnt charms showed that there was obviously someone on the other side of the door who casted this defense spell, and this defense wasn't weak. If ordinary little minions were to try an intruder break through, they would have had their entire innards burnt to ashes, yet it only took this black-clad warrior an instant before the array was completely destroyed. Perhaps it was because this Yang'an Palace was newly erected, it wasn't extraordinarily glamorous. On the contrary, it was even a little cold and humble, incomparable to Xianle Palace. This wasn't what was strange. What was strange was on the entire way, there was an incessant number of traps and defense arrays to ward off evil. However, every time Xie Lian noticed there was something blocking the way, the black-clad warrior would always step up first to break through the obstacle, clearing the path for him, so it was still an unimped journey. After an hour, atop the giant great hall of Yang'an Palace, two tall and slender shadows stood upon the spine of the roof, watching below. Both wore a mask. The expansive sleeves of that white-clothed man fluttered with a white silk band wrapped around, dancing madly in the wind. That black-clad man, on the other hand, was robust and agile, a long saber hanging on his waist, guarding the side of that white-clothed man, gazing in the same direction. The newly crowned king of Yang'an was within this great hall. Xie Lian chuckled mockingly. To set so many obstacles to ward off evil within the palace, it seems he's really scared of something that will come knocking. MXTX Author's Notes. I'm a little stumped today, sorry. Let me organize my thoughts and the chapters will grow longer again. Let's just eat up some different flavored Wawa today. Z. Translator's Notes. Wu Ming. Pinyin. Wu Ming means nameless.